Hey, everybody. Welcome to Exit Stage Left. I am your host, Niti, and we are broadcasting live from the Food Church here in North Carolina. We are a people at peace, and we have declared peace to all nations around the world. This is not a marketing or a promotional channel. We are shining a light on knowledge that is being hidden from you. We are sharing the truth about your birthright and your inheritance. If you have any questions, please put them in all caps and only enter them once per show. Today, I am joined by Tammy Healy, the host of the American States Assemblies podcast and co-leader of the Outreach Think Tank. Welcome, Tammy.
Hey, Niti, it's great to be here and glad you could make it. I know you're experiencing some severe weather down there and, kind of the same weather up here, but very, very odd for North Carolina. So I know you were kind of struggling to get here because of the weather and, just God bless you for being here nonetheless.
Thank you. I want to apologize to everybody for being so late, but what happened is that we aren't used to the level of snow that fell backed by like single digit temperatures overnight. So it froze everything, on all these rural roads back here. It's not like there's any plows running through. And, so it's left up to us, all the country folk to try to do something about it. And normally when it snows like this, then if we wait a couple of days, it generally dies off. So we don't have a lot of equipment to really manage it because we normally don't need it. It's just kind of easier to just shut things down for a couple of days, have a few snow days and keep moving. Well, my whole schedule is kind of going crazy with the farms, obviously, because we have single digits and there's a lot more trauma on the land in ways like it's so abnormal for us. Like there's still piglets being born here. For one example, there was one of the farm families that found a couple of frozen piglets outside because they fell into just a little shallow thing of water, but it's so cold outside, they got frozen. And so it's really abnormal things for us. That, people weren't really prepared. I don't know. Our farmers are pretty prepared, and I warned them, and it warned us. We let everybody know, but there's still some things that we aren't really just very well equipped for.
Right. There's some unforeseen things that, you wouldn't have thought of, like who would have thought that a little baby piglet would, get stuck somewhere and freeze, to death, literally. But
in minutes. The thing about it is it's happening so fast. It would normally be something like, they go out, they do chores, they keep an eye out for this kind of thing, but it's too cold. We have not had single digits on North Carolina. And I know Anna said it was mild compared to what it was supposed to be. And I agree that it wasn't as traumatic as she had talked about. So I know that our 30 trillion, watts of, pure positive energy that we're putting out there. We want to thank everybody who helped to focus on those things because it really made a big difference. And Tammy, I hope you're feeling better too. I know you were you were under the weather last week. Yeah. We also just didn't even have a good internet signal last week.
Yeah, I was feeling just really tired. I don't know if it's the weather that's getting to me, the fact that they're spraying up there constantly and hiding the sun. It's one thing to get cold weather because that's kind of normal for the Northeast. But it's another when we don't literally weeks on end, we're not seeing the sun. So I think that that's having a big effect. Even people around me that I talk to, they're just really tired, and so I think that was affecting me. And so, sinus things going on and just, normal things like that. But whenever I get like that, I always know that's my body's signal to just take a break and rest and recuperate. And so that's what I did. I'm sorry to have missed last week. I know, like we didn't do the podcast last week for a couple of different reasons, but that was mine. So, but anyway, we're here. And I think we've got some good topics to discuss today. I think the two topics that come to mind that I think would be of great conversation for our assemblies is one, getting into a professional etiquette. Because if we're supposed to be the lawful government on our state, we have to start embodying, what that means for us and how we're showing up in the world, everywhere we go, and then the other topic is, how to get off the sidelines, just showing up in your meetings and listening and actually participating and being proactive on your assembly. What does that look like? So we're going to kind of do a little bit deeper dives into these two topics, and hopefully that can help some people and some members, especially the newer members that are coming into our assemblies. But some key aspects of professional etiquette, or even your speech, right? Like the words that you choose to use, because that's a big one. And I know we touched on this a little bit in previous episodes. But, we want to make sure that we're speaking clearly because we want to get our points across. And, we want to leave out the jargon. Use simple language so that your message can be conveyed and heard. Be concise and to the point. We don't need all these extra details in a lot of this stuff. We just, need to sometimes just get to the point of the matter. What do you think about that first aspect of our speech and how we talk and communicate with each other in that way?
I agree. I think also just relaxing. There's a lot of folks that have a lot of anxiety about just speaking their mind. Right. And I feel like the orthodoxy has really done a number on all the living men in we obviously know that they've suppressed our intellect. They have really, we're under constant threat with poisoning of the mind, the air, the food, all the, and we can do many things to mitigate for that. And we've talked about that. We could probably do a show every week about just how to do mitigation. But I think that, in addition to trying to do the very many things, being aware of this and just actually knowing it, and I think one of the things that we have to do is be honest with ourselves about how much we allow ourselves to be exposed to some of this stuff. And then instead of getting down in the dumps about it, and really feeling overwhelmed, if we can just try to do one thing to, and start a new habit, because, and also I think the number one thing should be to change your thoughts.
That's a good one. That's a really good one, because what you think is not only what's in your mind, but it's going to come out in your facial expressions, your body language, and then what you say.
Right. And honestly, one of the biggest points that one of the other members on our assembly made to me is that, yes, Niti, we can't physically make a quantum leap, but she said, I feel that it's more of a mental thing. And she's right, that you can make a quantum leap mentally before you can try to do something physically. And so if everyone would take some time, and really it's about 15 minutes in the morning, first thing when you get up, before you look at a phone or you do anything like that. Don't let anything else put any information in your head. If you just wake up so that you can be alone for 15 minutes. And I encourage everyone always to take a step outside, even in this icy cold Arctic, whatever is going on. Every morning I take a step outside and just put my eyes to the sky The goal is to be there for 15 minutes. But if you can just even be there for one entire minute, or 30 seconds, let yourself get focused in on the sky, whether it's cloudy, rainy, whatever it is. If you can't go all the way out, like a lot of times I'll just stand on my porch. But the bigger deal is to connect my feet, because you're still discharging all that negative energy just on the concrete if you touch it with your flat feet, or if you like, I have some leather shoes, like leather bottoms, and there's nothing. It's just one little piece of leather between me and the ground. Okay.
Yeah, like a moccasin.
It's like a moccasin. It's a house moccasin, actually. And so I can just step outside with those little moccasin slippers. I can stand there, and it's going to be cold or hot or uncomfortable or whatever it is.
Right.
But like, I think anybody can do that for a minute, and if you just, or even if it's 30 seconds, like whatever it is, if you can do it for 30 seconds to a minute and literally put your eyes to the sky, doesn't matter what the weather is. Okay. If you do that, I promise it's even better when you go touch the grass. If you can actually get onto the grass like that, or the soil, like all the way, but the concrete will still allow you to have a lot of that energy release. And also, you might not realize this, but you can do it in the tub, in the shower, because your plumbing is grounded. Okay. A lot of people don't know that. That's the other reason why sitting in a salt bath in the tub will ground you equally to being naked outside on the grass. Okay.
Yeah. And I think water holds energy.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, if you're in a bathroom and you can actually crack your window and let natural light in, even if it's 5 degrees outside, like just to get because the light will work to get in, even with a little bitty crack. Okay. But if you do that, then that is the frequency of your circadian rhythm from the sky to the ground. And when you allow that to come in and flow to you and through you, then it literally resets you and helps you get focused with your creator, like in a flash. I mean, honestly, 10 seconds can do it, but 30 seconds, 15 minutes is, imagine the download that you get,
Now, what about when you're, using professional etiquette in your meetings, let's just say, what do you think about tone, like body language and your tone of your voice? How do you think that can come across to people that we're speaking with?
I feel like most people that are having a problem with this kind of thing, like I know that, all our assemblies have been through something, right? We've all experienced, what it is the assault of the aggravation. Well, not aggravation, these are the wrong words, but like there are aggressors though. There are people that will have, I mean, we've all experienced this on the various assemblies. Okay. And if you don't have that, then, can we all just come to the meeting and just do a little relaxation, a little woo-saw before we come into the meeting, and just know that we're here to do the great work. And I feel like if everybody can come in with the attitude of, hey, we just want to do the great work, like, I don't know, Tammy, I know that you and your husband live kind of out in the country for New Jersey. It's not like you're in the city. And we do a lot of things. I do a lot of projects with everybody on the farms. So we have, I'm going to call it a barn raising, but it's not always a barn raising. It might be that we're putting together a bunch of chicken tractors or we're doing something else. But whatever it is, when we need projects to be done, then everybody comes together. And we don't maybe even really like everybody who's there. And what I mean by that is, like, we're not interested in hanging out with them. We're not really trying to like be best friends with them, or, like we probably aren't going to be calling them like otherwise, but we're there putting ourselves together with our hearts and our hands to do something, get it done, and leave. Like, that's it.
You're there for a common goal. And that's what we have to recognize in our assemblies, is that we're here to get a government standing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think when we're getting back to, professional etiquette and professional manners,
Mm.
you know, that's kind of like a respect for your fellow man and woman, right? And the kind of language that you choose, the words that you choose, in the tone in which you say it, all of those things are either showing respect for your fellow man or they're disrespecting your fellow man or woman. And so, these are all things that we can control ourselves and just, think about it when we're having a discussion, or, maybe there's a disagreement. I know for me, sometimes if I know that I'm, like if I'm tired or cranky, I know that that's not a time for me to speak up because, I kind of I don't have a filter, where and so I know my limitations. And so I usually tend to yield back or stay more quiet in those times.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of join back in the party when I'm at my best again, so,
Yeah.
but those are
I
those are
mean,
all things, I think, for self-awareness, and like being self-aware of how you are coming across to people, and how people are perceiving you based on either your body language, the words you choose, your facial expressions, the tone in your voice. All of these things are part of our communication.
mm-hmm. I think
And
that also it's just a piece of that, though, Tammy, just piggybacking on what you're saying right there. Why is it that people behave like they're not at work?
right.
Or just in public. Like, I don't really get it. I think that maybe because they're in their pajamas at home. Maybe, I mean, I'm not sure, like our meetings are after work, I get it, like you're home and
Well, and the
so
other thing, though, not to cut you off, Niti, but this is kind of, I think, something that we have to grasp and wrap our heads around, because, um, and I'm trying to remember who I was listening to recently that kind of explained this. I want to say it was Hudson Roberts. I've just been reviewing some of his videos. He's a new podcaster, by the way, and so if anybody wants to watch his stuff, you could go to The Living Man. It's a great podcast. He's a young man, in his 20s, I believe. I did interview him on the American States Assemblies. He's with the Idaho Assembly. He serves as one of their coordinators. But he was explaining this so beautifully, is that truth is truth. And so the way that you're showing up in the world is really just who you are. And it's not about being on your best behavior. It's showing up as your authentic, genuine self, and being true to who you are. And the interesting thing is that if people are not showing up in their best manner, then clearly you can see that there's some kind of an internal conflict going on, either inside their hearts or in their minds, and that really needs to be worked out, because there is a respectable way to be able to debate, and we should be able to debate ideas. That's another thing that um, is a part of this professional, how are we showing up in a professional manner? Is that we're there not to just yes everybody to death and be agreeable, right? We're there to give our input and how we view things. But there is a way to do it. We don't have to belittle somebody else or put somebody else down in order to get our point across, and we could just state our point as a matter of factly. And I think our founders were, just great examples of how to debate in these ways. And I also think that even if they did get into heated debates and maybe they offended each other, they never really took it personally, I don't think. I think they just kind of got back to business as usual, instead of harping on something. It's like they allowed things to just roll off their shoulders and not take it personally. And
mm,
so,
I
these
don't know. You know that they used to box things out too. So,
yeah.
like, the way the guys are is, when men get together and they have an opposing viewpoint, a lot of times those guys were young. And so, they will box something out. But the bigger deal is if you have a disagreement, I mean, we've had disagreements with several people on our assembly, and also we still love each other and forget about it the next day, like, because because look at what's going on here. Like, if we're trying to free all men from bondage, then what are you doing? You're talking about everybody. Well, we don't all know each other. We all come together perfect strangers with various walks of life, nothing in common. And we're also not trying to leave anyone out, which means there's definitely going to be many people that come on board that you're not going to jive with. But who isn't interested in freeing all men? Oh, apparently somebody. Okay. Also, there's many people who just think Anna is crazy and that we're just worshiping this old lady. So there's a lot of things. Like, I mean, I've literally feel like I've heard it all. Like,
yes, I agree. I agree.
Are you just worshiping this old lady? Like, what is going on? I can't even.
Well, you're trading one, leader that you worship for just another. And it's like, no, that's not what this is about here.
Right. And people say things like, why are you making your life so hard unnecessarily when, they're all crazy people. They're all crazy. We don't like none of the leaders, so why are you picking another one? So you hear all this stuff. And so,
well, and the one thing, just to defend our position here is that Anna never claims that she's the leader. What she's claimed is that she's the fiduciary. There's two differences to that, right?
Oh, it's very big. She never claims anything except here is information and you should go research it.
Right. And she's there to protect our, to get back our assets.
Right.
And so she's leading the way and blazing the trail for that to happen. And it's not a surprise that there's a lot of resistance with that. And there's a lot of confusion, and sometimes it's hard to decipher if some of the people that are out there putting certain information, if they're doing it out of ignorance or if they're doing it out of, spite in order to, kind of sabotage our efforts, because they don't
100%.
want,
yeah.
so, and in either case, either they're ignorant or they're, doing something spitefully. In either case, you're still going to, respond in the same way,
Right. Because we have to have the attitude of, look, friends, we're not seeking your agreement, and everybody has to.
Right. This is what we have to offer. If it resonates with you,
but I mean, we have to really come with the attitude of, hey, we're here to honor your free will choice. We're not here to talk you in or out of anything.
Right. That's exactly right.
If you don't want to do something or you don't agree, that's fine. Also, can you please go this direction? Because I'm going this way, and that's really the big deal. It's when someone comes in and stands there like, a water buffalo on the path and won't move off the path. And you're like, okay, guy. Okay, Mr. Water Buffalo, I got to get past this. Like, we got to go. You're on our path. Yeah. And then you just standing there waiting for him to get off the path. And I feel like we've all faced that water buffalo on the path.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some very stubborn people, that are, purposefully putting up roadblocks. And it's just a matter of, do you remember seeing the movie The Matrix with Neo? And when, what's the dude in the black suit? I forget his name. The one that calls him Mr. Anderson. He's a part of the system. Anyway, when he's punching at him, right? Neo just looks at that punch and just kind of dodges it, right? And in real time, he's going really fast, right? But in that slow-mo, he's just kind of looking at it. Like, it's kind of like you could see what it is and that it's dangerous and you just avoided it, right? And that's kind of like what these roadblocks are. They're meant to distract us from our purpose and we could just see it for what it is, and then just boop, avoid it. You just, kind of block it and move out of the way and keep on going. But, getting back, I don't want to get too far-fetched, off of the topic, but, kind of getting back to, professional etiquette and, showing up as the lawful government and embodying that, and how we, not just how we are even speaking to just our assembly members, but also what we're saying when we're talking to the public, right? Because this is a big deal. If you're not speaking in a way that is coming across as you are in a position of power, right? Because as a sovereign, you are the power of the people. And so if you're not showing up in that way and acting like you're the one in charge, then, I don't know how people are going to take you seriously, like that's the other thing, is that,
well, look, you're the one who has that power or what have you, but you also have to have grace. And we also have to view the whole situation, like with compassion. You have to view it for knowing that, hey, these guys don't really know what's going on. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about embodying, like, for instance, we just had our county tour, it was last month. And, when I was meeting the public, I was shaking their hand and saying, "Hi, I'm Tammy Healy. I'm the chairman for the New Jersey Assembly."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are the things, and everybody else, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm the marshal at arms," or, like, you're shaking hands with the public and letting them know I'm here, getting this government standing. It's not just our job to educate them on the fraud and to rescue them, but now we're actually building a government.
Right.
And so that is what I feel like is the next step in this process that we've begun. And I'm going to say what Anna's begun, right? Because this process started in 1998, and our assemblies were called back into session in 2021. And so this growth process that, this journey that we're on is, and it's so beautiful to be able to be a part of it, number one, and also to watch it blossom into what it's growing into. Mm-hmm. But we need to get to that stage, talking about taking a quantum leap, right? Mm-hmm. We need to jump to that next level of embodying what that means to be the government, being responsible. And I loved, when I interviewed Terra Canada recently, and the lady that serves, her name is Cheryl Millett, and she serves on the International Business Assembly. She's the chairman for that. And so I was asking her, what are some of your projects that you're working on? And she said, we're actually reviewing and looking over all the different services that our service providers are providing. And that is part of the process, right? So she's starting to embody that, oh, I'm actually responsible for all these different services that our service providers are providing. So if our assembly feels like we don't want these services anymore, then we get to tell our service providers, we no longer want this service, right?
Right.
So it's embodying a different mindset of who we are, what we're here to do, and what that looks like. And and getting back to our assemblies and how we're showing up in our meetings, right? A great deal of this is active listening. Being able to listen to your fellow assembly members. And it doesn't help, if somebody is the moderator for the meeting and they're running the meeting and they're reviewing things and they're like, what do you think about that? And everybody stays quiet, and I think it's because, they're not used to having to think about these things and then forming an opinion and giving feedback and then actually getting involved in the work, right? And so that's another quantum leap that we need to take to get our people into the action mode. And that's kind of getting segueing into the next topic is how do
But
we get.
before you do that,
Yeah.
like, may I
Oh
just wanted to add that, I mean, this is why Anna keeps asking, what do you want? What do you want? Like, you don't, like, going back to where you said, when you're talking to the people out on the tour, and people say whatever they're observing, and they're like, you just want to not do this government so that you can do that government, or you don't want this guy so you can go that way, or whatever. And Anna says, actually, we get to decide if we want any of that at all, because we can actually go a completely different direction, and we have the ability to move forward in the one law, and just only go with that. We don't have to make it be any other kind of way. But of course, there will be this time of duality as everybody is making these decisions of, hey, and it really does come back to, we have an opportunity right now to choose again. Do we want man as our king, or do we want God as our king? And
Right.
so it's really important for people to think about it in that regard. We've had a lot of these conversations here, and we don't want man as our king. And
No.
so if we don't, then what does that look like? How would it feel? What how like, so that requires a lot of people to be responsible for things who aren't currently responsible for anything. And most people don't really comprehend how irresponsible they are.
Right, and that's a very interesting point of view or perspective, is that we've all been living a life of irresponsibility.
Right. I mean, people don't really get that, okay, if you just paying for insurance, and the way they sell it to you is, in case this happens, which really means in case you aren't doing whatever, this is a CYA that you can pay for. And you can always seem to buy your way out of this stuff. Except when you really cause harm, now what? Reasons why, like land jurisdiction, they didn't really want to talk about, if you drink and drive and it results in a death, that's a big deal in our
Oh yeah.
jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been a big deal, because you could always just buy your way out, pay for it with your own life in prison, like something. But is that really free? Is that actually responsible? Is it a solution? I mean, there's a lot to consider just in the prison system alone, just in the education system. Like when you start talking about the services, when you start breaking them down and you start realizing how irresponsible it is to let other people raise your progeny, for example, like, it's one thing for them to go to a program and learn for a little while, but I'm talking about 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Come on, that's too much. Like, it's not required, if they just go for a little while. But the difference is what? Well, they have to do that because I have to go there, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
so this is
Yeah.
going to be a brand new world. It's a really lot to think about. And it's not just about, my kids like to go hang out with their friends, my kids like to go in this atmosphere, whatever. But it's the fact that currently it is a mandatory thing for so many hours for all, and when you put so many kids together, so many families together, like we're talking about thousands of them, they all have a different purview, but they haven't had any involvement in what it is that their babies are being focused upon. And so I think it's going to be a time of, like, a rebirth of smaller organizations, more deliberate and intentional, situations. And I think a lot more diverse opportunities and varieties of things that we would be able to offer our progeny, so that they might be gone for 8 hours, but they're not in the one spot. Maybe they go to several different places and get some uh, tapestry of experiences in that day or that week or whatever. So I mean, that's just one example, but yeah, like unbinding just education, prison system, or, even the first responders. How is that going to look? What is it that we're going to need? And how many people are going to be required to be more responsible? Like, why are we watching commercials, or why are we watching news broadcasts of kids who are eating Tide Pods? And also, if we don't have Tide Pods, then you don't have to wonder about the Tide Pods, because if you use natural detergents, they can't get poisoned at home.
Yeah.
How
Well,
about
it's the
that?
same thing with the Similac, right? Like the baby, baby food.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much that we could dive into, but I kind of want to get back to, what does it look like to become proactive? We're talking about becoming responsible now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, proactivity involves taking the initiative and anticipating, the future needs and challenges. And I
Right.
think that that's the level of thinking that we have to get to, and it was refreshing to hear Cheryl discuss, that they're looking at these services, right? Because they're probably going to start analyzing them. And that's the other thing, right? Like let's just say you're looking at like I don't know, your fire department in your town, and you're reviewing it and seeing, what's working. You'd have to talk with the firemen, right? You'd have to see what's working, what's not working, what do you need, and start talking to them and getting to know the business and the process, and then figuring out a game plan. So yeah, it's becoming the responsible party, but getting back to just something as simple as in our assembly meetings, you have to start reflecting on your current position and your contributions, right? Identify the areas, where you can take more initiatives, right? That's learning about what your talents are, what are your skill sets, what is your passion, and then start identifying those and how you can contribute to your assembly. And then you have to set clear goals. I feel like this is a big issue in our assemblies, because we've got these grand ideas of how what we want, right? First, we're identifying what we want, but now it's how are we going to get what we want? And sometimes that seems very overwhelming for people, and they don't know how to break it down into simple steps, doing one step at a time to eventually reach that goal. So you have to define specific goals, and make a list of all the steps that are going to require you to reach that goal. And you have to prioritize the things that really truly matter to you. And plan, that's all a part of planning and preparing. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and this is what a lot of our committees are doing, right? They're doing the research, they're having the conversations and thinking about it, but it's really tough, man. I mean, 99% of the people in the out here right now they can't, if you just walk up to anybody on the street and say, "Hey, what do you want in life?" Most of them can't tell you.
no. And I was just that's an interesting that you said that, because I was having a conversation with a fellow mom, and she was saying how she's reaching the time period where she's going to retire soon.
Mhm.
But she's talking about how she has to work, because that's helping to pay the bills, and the amount of time she spends with work, that if she were to retire, I don't think she would know what to do with herself, because she spent so many of her hours working and working and working. And so, these are all things, to consider, when, getting into our assemblies, and having people, when we start asking them, what do you want? Well, if they could actually state what they want, because I don't think they've ever considered really what they truly want, right?
Right.
But when they can finally identify what it is that they want, now let's start breaking it down into steps of how to get it, like how are you going to get that? And I think that that's a struggle in our meetings, like, when you're talking about when you're getting together in your committees and you're trying to plan something out, it's getting the wheels turning in everybody's minds about, well, what does that look like? How are we going to do that? And what are the steps?
Well, I mean, how do you expect them to be able to really do that, Tammy? Since they were 2 years old or less than 2 years old, they were being kept by somebody, and then they went to school, and then they were told what to do. They were told what time they were going to walk, what time they were going to get up, what time they were going to sit down, what time they were going to go to the bathroom, what time they were going to eat, what time they were going to get to rest. And now you got families where the parents have their kids like booked out throughout the day, so the baby has no time to get bored.
No downtime.
Ever. Yeah. Never. Like never have a moment to just get bored. I remember when we we had our kids in a small micro school, so it was already like not really like full-time school anyway. But then after 5th grade, they were done. So I remember the first 3 years for both of them, it was kind of like they were just with me at work, and it was just like kind of boring and like whatever. And I just left it alone. And all of a sudden they blossomed. Like, you plant a seed into the ground and you feel like, uh-oh, they're just kind of dormant and like nothing's happening really, but something's happening, but nothing really. But what's going on? Are we wasting time or whatever? All of a sudden they started flourishing. It's like they started popping out of the ground, and all of a sudden they're like, you find out that they know all the stuff. You're just like, how do you guys know this stuff? And they're like,
and they're allowed to use their creative minds and come up with things to do that they enjoy.
Right. But the way they come up with this is from inside. It's not like they were sitting on a computer. It's not like they were
nobody
sitting on a
told them.
phone.
Nobody told them what to do.
Nobody told them what to do. It wasn't like it was some outside influence. They literally were like planted for the couple of 3 years, 2 to 3 years. And all of a sudden, because we didn't allow any of the tech, we didn't allow any, I mean, they weren't immersed in that, and they were working with us. All of a sudden they start figuring something out, and now they're like, what about this? And I'm like, do you want to research it? Next thing you know, they dive into something, and now they're able to do that. But when someone has been from school to university or to trade school or to, some program or whatever, or to just a job, and then they go to another job, and then they're only just trying to get the better job, and they're going from job to job, and now
it's mostly just surrounded by the money that they're going to make, right? They're advancing and jumping from job to job because they're chasing the money.
Because, you need the money to have the prestige and the recognition because of this social pressure, which is also another part of this, what you're talking about. So we have social pressure amongst people in the assembly too. And then they try to use that as a way or an excuse or whatever. And this is a real time, I think, for a lot more. I think we need to be able to put people more into a longer orientation, frankly, and they need to just be able to kind of crystal, like be in a chrysalis, so to speak, for just kind of a little bit of time.
Maybe, but I think too that for us on our assembly, it's so beautiful to see because we just had we had our outreach meeting last night and our outreach committee meeting, and so we're going over, what we're going to do for our next county tour and the planning and what we're going to do for the marketing and how we're going to change things up. And it was very interesting because more and more people were, speaking out and giving their ideas and their opinions. And, there was, not necessarily a debate, but like a difference of opinion. And we came to a meeting of the minds, and we were able to work together and come up with a plan of action. And so it's really beautiful to see that, flourishing, and seeing people, kind of stepping into their power, and, really thinking long and hard about things, and trying to come up with solutions to challenges that we face,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings us to, the like a point to making sure that you're engaging with your team,
Mm.
and doing that, like not just sitting there and, listening in a meeting, because, the moderator in our meetings has a lot of the pressure is on them because they're moderating the meeting. For our General Assembly meetings, we go down all the positions and let everybody give their updates, whatever committee chairs or the martial at arms, the ombudsman, the coordinators. But everybody has an opportunity to speak and give an update. And so, it's kind of nice to hear from everybody instead of the moderator, being the one, doing all the talking. So, it's just beautiful to see people speaking up more, and starting to get those wheels turning in their minds, and using their creativity and their solution, their problem solving skill sets. And so it's really nice, I know, for us to see that.
Yeah. Well, I know that we were late coming here today. It was
Yeah.
me. I take full responsibility.
It's okay.
And I apologize, but I think this was really good, Tammy. Like, we wanted to get everybody just thinking. The idea is to expand everyone's mind and kind of push people to really elevate and get, on kind of a next level. I'm really excited. Maybe after you guys have done a few of your county tour events, to like start maybe like hearing about your pros and cons. I think it would be good for you to maybe get 3 of them under your belt to see what you learned along the way. And I think that it's wonderful that you are doing them even in the winter, especially up where you're at. And I think that it would be really cool for the rest of us all to observe and take notes from you and learn about that. And I think I don't know. I think that this was good in that way. I don't know. I feel like
Well, we are going to we have the next International Outreach Think Tank meeting on February 11th,
mhm.
and we will be reviewing, our county tour, and what our findings were. So all the things that you just said, we're going to be reviewing that. And that Louise Anthony puts those recordings to those meetings up on the Peacekeeping Task Force YouTube channel. So that's where people
Great.
can find the playbacks for those. I send them out to the invite list, the playback, but she uploads it to YouTube so that everybody can see it. So, but we will be reviewing that.
Maybe you can get me a link for that, and also the Hudson Roberts.
Yeah, I can get that over to you.
Yeah, then I can put it in the show notes here. And I think that would be really great for anyone who's interested in checking those out.
Yeah, because I think it's so important for us to support each other's work. There's a lot of us now doing podcasts and education pieces. And I found when I was reviewing Hudson Roberts, he actually does this education piece, and he's giving a live outreach presentation. It's like education, it looks like in his home, and he has this huge whiteboard. And so it's a different kind of format than, what I offer when I do outreach and education. And it's different than what Michelle Ford has done, or Lisa Schaefer, or you, or whoever else, right, that's doing these different podcasts. And so I think that all these different varieties of presentations is great, because people hear it differently from somebody else that's presenting it differently and may grasp it, differently from hearing it in different ways. So I really love that. And, I think he's doing a great job. So yeah, I will get you it for anybody that's watching. You could just look him up. His YouTube channel is The Living Man.
I tried to do that, just so you know. And I was gonna put it up here and I couldn't find it. So that's why I'm asking you for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just being blocked from me or what, but like I tried to I mean, you said The Living Man, right?
Yep. Let me see if I could find it and I could share it.
Because when I do it, then I get all these things not about that. And it's interesting to me. I don't know why I'm getting a whole bunch of Mexican mannequin shops and all this stuff about mannequins, and it's kind of creepy, actually.
Okay, so I'm going to put it in the chat for you.
Okay.
And you can share it with the audience.
Sure.
It's just at The Living Man Podcast. So if you go to YouTube, you can, look that up.
Okay, cool. I'll put it here for everybody. Yeah, because I was like, I don't know why this isn't working. But I'm sure if someone else is looking for it, they'd have it. I'm going to try to search that real quick too and see if I can just go ahead and put found it.
You found it. Yeah. He's got some great stuff in there. And, it's nice to see other people. And I don't know who else. I know that there are some people, I think, on Arizona that does podcasts. I know I've seen, what's his name? He's a chiropractor, Dr. B.
Oh, no. I mean, we should share these with each other because I really.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I think he usually does it with Diane Kaiser and Dennis on Arizona. I know I've seen a few podcasts with them. I don't know if it's a continuing podcast, but all these different people that are attempting. I know the Terra Australis just started their podcast, and oh gosh, I forget the name of it. I could probably share that as well. And so, there's just, it's beautiful to see everybody sprouting into their own, sharing the information, getting it out there. Yes. And so, we are making some great successes. And, as much as we've had our challenges, I think we also have to relax into the fact that we've come a long way.
We've come a long way, baby. I remember when we didn't have any podcasts. Right. And now we have all these things to choose from. And it's wonderful to listen to everyone coming with this information from their various, point of views. And, that's what we need for it to actually get down to the ground and let as many people hear it in all the different ways. Yeah. Until they're able to find someone they can jive with and really fully grasp the gravity of this, because we definitely want the message to reach everyone. So. Yeah.
And I think the more that people see that there's all walks of life. I mean, we have a coordinator who's 83 years old. I mean, God love her. God bless her. I mean, I love that lady so much. And I just love the people from all walks of life, like Hudson Roberts. He's in his, when I met him, he was in his early 20s.
Nice.
And so, you've got both young and old coming into our assemblies from all walks of life. We've got, retired military people, retired chief of polices. We've got farmers. We've got healers. We've got all kinds of people, that are, finally, just stepping into their power. And it's just really just beautiful to see. It's really beautiful.
It really is, y'all. I'm so excited, and I'm really glad that we're able to come together and bring some of them to you. And let's keep it going, Tammy. I think that's
absolutely. We're on fire now. So, and I just support. I support if we have a Telegram page for the outreach, and I put it out there to everybody. Hey, if you guys know of other people that are doing podcasts, share it with us so we can share it far and wide and get the word out. And I know that also I don't remember her name. I just remember her her stage name or whatever you want to call it, but Sovereign Mama, and she's on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
And she
I
does.
think she's in Florida. She's on Florida, right?
Yeah, she's on Florida. Yeah. I don't know why her name is escaping me now, but her short videos are beautiful too.
Yes.
And I share those far and wide. And it's just we've got to support each other's work and share it. You know, I know on the New Jersey Assembly YouTube channel, I have a playlist. So I have all of your stuff, the United States of America podcast. I have that playlist. I have America Some Assembly Required. I got that playlist. And so anybody that is doing regular, you know, the Peacekeeping Task Force, I know Louise is doing her, her Resurgence Pulse Reports videos, and those are excellent. So, you know, there's just so much people are contributing, and it's really, it's great. And I encourage more people to, you know, I'd love to see a podcast for every state assembly.
And also for all the various interests of the people on the assembly, like, you know, how to be an electrician.
Right,
you know,
right.
How to be a declared American and be an electrician, or just all the trades, basically. Or whatever, just as an idea for anyone who is out there who wants to try to do it.
Well, and I think, speaking of ideas, before we end the podcast, I did want to put this out there for people who are viewing this, is that Anna just recently on her Monday night webinar last night, she had a question come in where somebody asked, where can I find a listing for all the American common law lawyers? And she put it out there and said, well, that would be a great project for somebody to do. And so, you know, I'm hoping that somebody puts that together. That would be beautiful. I think that would be helpful too. And so
I'm glad she wants them to consider teaching it, or providing a way for it to be taught. And I know a lot of people that want to learn it. So
a
lot of people. And I think that it would be probably more of a basic main staple, like how people look at home ec. That's how big of a deal it would be.
Oh yeah. I mean, common law, I think, is going to be even a subject matter that our kids should be learning from very young age.
Day one. I mean, they need to be learning that from 5 and 6 years old.
Yes.
And it needs to be a basic subject, the way you have reading, writing, and arithmetic. You got to have common law. So,
and etymology.
I mean, just the language, and also saving these languages. Nobody should be supporting the fact of saying, oh, Latin is dead, Sanskrit is dead, so we're not going to learn those languages. No, these are very powerful frequency languages that we must keep alive. And I think that it's really, really important. So anyone out there who can help keep that alive, these are all really, these could all be very important channels, multiple varieties of channels, topics that you could just have bazillion podcasts on.
I think there is somebody that is beginning to put curriculum together for like homeschools and stuff. And I totally support that and love that. You know, I think that's really important and great for people to do if they've got the time and they can do it. I know my son, he took Latin at his homeschool co-op, and he did that for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So he wasn't a big fan of it, but we did it.
Hey,
we did it.
He's going to appreciate that one day, and he doesn't even know.
Well, the interesting thing, when he was a little bit older and we were doing physical science when he was in 8th grade, like 8th grade area, all the words that we were learning in science had, Latin root words.
Sure.
So it was like, and the interesting thing was that when we, like the word terra, terra just means earth, right? Soil. And so we were somewhere and we saw an RV and it had terra on it. And he goes, "Oh, Mom, look." He's like, "That means earth." And so I knew he was getting that Latin language.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Okay, everybody. I know we have a hard stop for you, Tammy, and I'm
Yes.
trying to honor your time.
I got to
And
skedaddle.
everybody, I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we will see you next Tuesday here at Exit Stage Left, and hopefully no more ice storms. We've had 2 weeks. So.
All right. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye,
Sending
everyone.
love.
Thank you.